mentioned that case on AKPABIO to the UN Interparliamentary Union. And of course, I don't know if you follow that particular proceeding where she narrated her side of the story. And you have the you have a party to this saying that she's plotting to discredit AKPABIO and destabilize the National Assembly. What do you make of her move by going to the UN Interparliamentary Union? What does this mean for us as a nation?
Well, it's regrettable that this issue has been allowed, to degenerate to this point. But I have nothing against her for going to the Interparliamentary Union. You know, though in her statement she said she's there illegally because
she's no longer a senator.
Because she has been suspended from being a senator.
Right.
Which I do not agree. That she's still a serving senator, because it's not the National Assembly that made her senator. It's the people, it's her constituents that made her senator. So that's, I disagree with her and with the National Assembly, because I do not believe the National Assembly has any right to suspend anybody from being a senator. You can suspend them from sitting. You can't suspend them from being a senator, because they are representing their people. They have the mandate of the people, the same way AKPABIO has the mandate of the people from from whatever state he came from. So it is very, very wrong. And they keep laying these precedents because they are beginning to treat, the National Assembly like a court. How dare you talk to our capo like that? How dare
they have rules.
They have rules.
Yes.
Even in some of their rules, they are not following. Look, AKPABIO came back to apologize.
He did?
Yes. He apologized to her. That I'm sorry that I overruled you. You had the right to make that presentation. That was the first time. She accosted AKPABIO on the floor of the Senate. AKPABIO came back to apologize. So even in the conduct of the National Assembly, he admitted that they are not all perfect. They are still subjected to some kind of, flaws, which is understandable. No woman is perfect. But if she's alleging, let her prove her allegation and let AKPABIO too prove his innocence. That is justice. That is fairness. Anything other than that is unfair. And that is exactly what is bringing Nigeria to shame. Not our reporting it to the UN's Interparliamentary Union. It is the way we have conducted ourselves internally that is not being fair. Because she is claiming she is being victimized. And in the ending of the case, you are also establishing victimization. It is wrong. That is the highest law-making body of Nigeria. And if you cannot make laws and undo internal issue in the way that will be exemplary to all Nigerians, that look, AKPABIO is clean, this woman is at fault, then you are not laying good precedents and you are not a good law-making body.
I need to turn to you on this particular one. Now, she's saying that the way it was handled as suspension is an assault on democracy. And of course, she really went in on the sexual harassment claim at this particular Interparliamentary Union sitting.
Well, taking these issues to the interparliamentary sitting, for me, is most unfortunate. I think issues should not have gotten to that level. I think it's like washing our dirty linens in public. And the Nigerian state has a lot of mechanisms with which you can address all of these issues within the country. You do not have to take such issues to the UN and all of those foreign bodies. Having said that, you see, I tend to want to disagree with my brother here, based on the fact that when you have rules, besides the constitution of the country, we have guiding rules for everybody, every profession, and you are bound to follow those rules. If you don't follow those rules, then there should be penalty. And if there are penalties and those penalties violate your fundamental rights, then you proceed to the court and challenge it. We have it in political settings. We have it in other professions. So that, for me, is what I expect Senator Natasha to have done. Proceed to the courts. And I've also questioned this thing about why is it that when you were accused of being unruly to the Senate, or maybe you did not follow the rules of the Senate, this is when you are now throwing up the issue of sexual harassment. Now, for me, I have to ask that question. Why is it now?
Can I answer you?
Just a minute, please. The question for me is, you do not play the card of sexual harassment. For me, it is too expensive a card to play if you don't have anything to substantiate it.
Well, who says she doesn't have anything to substantiate it?
Well, so far so good. We have not seen anything. So far so good. I've not seen any.
Has the Senate given her the opportunity to actually present this?
The best we have for now is the pronouncement she made on her Rights television, where she said her husband was there and she has not told, she didn't tell him anything on that day and all of that. So the question is, something happened in 2023, in December 2023. And because you have an altercation at the Senate floor, now it becomes an issue. I am not saying that it should not be an issue, because if actually it happened, yes, we should look at it and address it. And this harassment petition was submitted. She submitted it twice. The first time she had, I think there was an issue with the process of submission. Now she submitted it again, and it was referred to the Ethics Committee, who has a duty to look into it and scrutinize it. Now, for me, there's a fundamental thing we keep missing. We have made it a Natasha Akpoti issue versus AKPABIO. It is not. It is a Natasha Akpoti versus the Senate. That is one. Then there is the issue of the sexual harassment, which is Natasha Akpoti versus the Senate President. That could be handled by the Senate Committee on Ethics. If it is not properly handled, it could be taken care of in the court. And all she needs to do is to file a case in the court and present evidence, and then the Senate President will be put in his place.
I need to turn to you real quick. You said you had, a rebuttal to what he said, having to do with why she had to wait this long.
When it comes to the issue of sexual harassment, I've seen that many Nigerian men, it's like we don't know the difference between sexual harassment and sexual assault or attempted rape. Because harassment can take a very long time. Now, if I propose to you or I make advances to you and it doesn't stop there after you have shown your reservation that you are not interested, as your colleague in office or worker, if I persist, it becomes harassment. Even in the course of persisting, if I begin to show you unmerited favor, it's still harassment. If I victimize you, it's harassment. So you see that it's something that takes a long time. So the time you come out to accuse or challenge harassment does not matter. Harassment is harassment. So what is expected of a law-making body, the highest law-making body in Nigeria, is that you should not just throw this under the carpet. That's my own position. Let's establish it. Even if you are thinking that this woman is insane, let it be established. If she's unruly, let it be well established and documented. Let it be all over the world that this woman wrongly accused our senator, our Senate president. Now, if you are making it the issue of Senate versus, you are making it, she is alleging the Senate president, Senator AKPABIO.
Now, in terms of the rules, he said two issues. In terms of the rules, it's Natasha Akpoti versus the Senate rules, to be precise.
Which Senate rule exactly? Because the Senate president came to apologize to her and to all Nigerians on the floor of the Senate.
That apology you're talking about was not on this issue. That apology
was on flouting the rule.
Also,
that's what is pointed out.
The apology was, no, just a minute. The apology was the issue that has to do with the one that sounded about a club and all of that, when the Senate president said this is not a clubhouse or something like that. That was when the Senate president came to the floor of the Senate to apologize on the use of words and maybe misinterpretation.
And the Senate president also made reference to not allowing her to present a case.
Other text.
You understand? So if the Senate president is liable to error, then why are other senators treating him as if he's infallible? That's what I don't understand.
We need to start taking reactions, gentlemen. Of course, to join the conversation, 080-777-1059 or 080-3232-1059. In a moment, we'll be taking your reactions to the stories so far and others making the rounds in the news this morning. But we'll go on a quick break. When I return, I'll be over to you for your thoughts. Do stay with us.
Nínú Ramadan,